Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a video kind of showing you how I go about making textures for my low poly art and the video game I'm working on. I have 3 different ways that I go about making textures. One is using Photoshop to make textures just entirely. You can kind of see that on my screen. These crates. I made this eraser today. And then the second way is I actually go out and take pictures on my own, and then I edit them, clean them up in Photoshop and stuff like that. And the third way is using random programs to make textures, and yeah. So before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that I do sell textures on my website, kamiexp.com. I sell a handful of packs, like $1 to $5, depending on what it is. And lately I've just been stacking up with a bunch of textures that I've made because of the video game. Yeah, I can use textures online and stuff, and I don't know, just me personally, I've been kind of like paranoid of using random people's textures. You don't know where they're getting it from and stuff like that. So if it's something that I can make, I just do it instead. Not to say that I don't use like other people's textures, but lately I've just been making a lot of my own. So, all right, so the first technique that I use to make textures is basically going out into the world and snapping some pics, you know? When I'm like just like with my wife or out in public and I see some cool tile, I just pull out my phone and take a picture, and then I add it to a shared album on my phone, which like kind of like links to my cloud. And then whenever I'm ready, I just pull that batch and put it on my computer where I have like all these images that I haven't edited yet. Once I do my thing, I delete it from that folder and you know, move it into my texture folders and stuff like that. So these are like some magazines that I've collected over the years. But yeah, you know, I just take these randomly and have them all stocked up on my computer, ready to edit. And I'm not gonna do them all at once. There's so many. But like whenever I have free time or I'm bored, I'll go through these and clean them up. So let's find one to edit, and I'll show you kind of like the workflow. All right, let's do this texture. It seems pretty easy. Let's plop it into a Photoshop. And you can see that like it's a little skewed, but that's fine. The image is still pretty flat, which is the nice part. When you're out taking pictures, you want to try to get like the picture as flat as possible, you know? Like you don't want the tile in this case to be kind of like this. It'll still work, but you don't really want it. You want to try to avoid it as much as possible. So we're going to take the perspective crop tool, and that will kind of just like flatten out the image. Even if it was skewed, it will try its best to flatten out the perspective. We're going to start just random place. We're going to do the corner of that. And since we started the corner here, we want to have the grout on this side. I guess we're going to do 4x4. So with this one, we don't have the grout, so we're going to want the grout on this end. Do that and that. I'll zoom out, see? So we have the grout on this side and on the bottom. So when it loops, it will technically, the grout will be up here and over here. Let's flatten the image. Look at that. It looks pretty nice. Now let's go into pattern preview. Looks pretty good. It does. I mean, there's some like light areas like here on this texture. I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. So let's move on. You can see like the weird abstract lines here. And those are basically the seams. You can see it. This is like the start and the end of the texture, and then it loops. So what we're gonna do So we're gonna blend those. We're gonna try to hide those mistakes. So I like to like offset the texture so the seams are in the middle. And then let's actually duplicate this, hide it, just so we have a backup. And then let's go into here, grab the healing spot brush tool. Let's see if it'll just work. No. So we gotta go in more. Sometimes it just works. And you know, just like Bob Ross, just tippy tap, you know? You are the artist. You know what good taste is. So just go in, brush it up, you know? Look at that. We went from that to that. That really harsh line, gone. Gone. Sometimes you gotta just kind of touch it up more than once. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It looks a little like blurry. But I think overall it'll be fine. No one's gonna like really see it, you know? Like that's bad. I can't let that go. Okay, this one's gonna be a problem. So let's try the other tool. So we can get the healing brush tool. When I hold option, it's gonna sample this like location. See? You can see the cursor over there. It didn't work as well. Maybe let's try something like a little closer to home. Because the lighting is going to be the same. It's not perfect. We'll clean it up a little bit more as well. Let's get that, line that up. Okay, let's see. Not the best. Not the best. Let's go here. So let's like compare. Whoops. Before and after. See, it's very little difference, but you won't see it as much, you know? So we did this seam. Now let's see where the other seam is. Oh, it's right here. It's pretty gnarly. Maybe try copying the grout. Just want to get rid of very straight lines, because it's not really normal, you know? It's not normal. So break it up. You know, this one's not as bad, so like the differences are not going to be super apparent. But this is literally what making textures, this is the amount of effort it takes, you know, to clean up your own stuff. Looks good to me. So I will save it. Done. Let's just put done. I usually put them in like different folders, but this will do for now. So then I name it KT for Kami Texture, Tile, Stone, Tile, Black, I don't know. And then I usually put CCO. When I'm in Blender and I want a texture, I go to my textures and I type in like wood. I have all these wood ones. I don't even know if some of these are like, you know, public domain and stuff, but if I do know, I put it in the name. So I type in CCO, which is CC, and now I know all of these textures are okay to use. Shout out to Screaming Brain Studio. They have some great textures. Great. Man, they are good.
Are you ready to take the magic of the imagination home? Well, come on down to the Kami shop in University. We got shirts, bags, hats and bags, and even more to come. Visit AAMIEXP.com. That is KamiEXP.com. みんな紙ショップで待ってるね。
Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. I love tile. I see some good tile and I'm like, yep. I need to snap that. Ooh. These are intimidating. Cloth is pretty hard, honestly. I have a hard time getting good cloth texture because it's so like, you know, bendy and the light hits it different. Like you can see like there's dark spot right here and then a light spot here. And it's really hard to find some good ones. Let's try this, I guess. This will be kind of hard. Okay. Let's just try to avoid that big shadow. Let's make a square. All right, let's take a look. I just guessed. Let's go to pattern preview. Okay, it's not that bad. Let's unlock it. Put this in the center. You can see the seam lines. Enter. Let's save a duplicate. Go here. And then you can press J for the healing brush, or you can go over here and do this. Let's just try to cheat code it. Sometimes it works. Kind of worked. But let's go and do it ourselves. Let's go over here. Let's do this. Just blend that in. You see, it's kind of blurry. For the most part, people won't notice, but I like to try to get rid of that smudgy look as much as possible. And basically what I'm doing is just command or option clicking and finding a good spot, random spot. The problem with this is like sometimes you just can't be too picky about it, you know? Like honestly, like I'm looking at it like super zoomed in, but you're never gonna no one's ever gonna look at these textures and be like, yeah, I see the seam here. Unless you're making textures, then you start noticing it. But if you zoom out, you're like, oh, that's good. And you might be telling, you know, you might be saying like, hey, Kami, yo, this rock just stops. I'm like, I know. Oops, I was just repeating that the same texture. Whoopsies. It still looked good. It still looked fine. But I know. The rock just disappears. It blends into nothingness. And I know. But you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna notice it, man. Have you ever looked at one of my animations and been like, yeah, that texture's off, man? No, you haven't, because one, you haven't put in the time to do it. You're probably going to now. And B, it's not worth it, you know? It's not worth the hassle. I can't even find the seam now. Okay, I think it's like right here. Hey, I mean, if I can't find the seam, that's good for me, you know? You know, this is like something where if you feel like, you know, you're burnt out and you're tired of grinding and stuff, you know, you just put on some Bob Ross, maybe some video game music, chill out, and, you know, do this. Easy peasy. All right, let's see the before and after. Boom. Boom. It still looks pretty bad. Why is this seam here? Okay. See this color? This color difference is still making these lines. That's what I was saying. Like this one is it's a hard one because I'm blending two different types of rocks. But the important thing is you really want to break that line. That line is what tells you, it's like, hey man, this isn't nature. This isn't nature, you know? Nature doesn't have lines. Like sharp adjacent lines. Just doesn't. Even here, like this is not even part of the seam. there's a line there. It feels like there's a line. So we're just gonna break it. I mean, this texture will work. It looks a little like 90s vibe, honestly. It's not the best, I'm not gonna lie. So if it's not good enough, like, let's destroy it. Let's do like 15. Actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go make a new palette, because this is like some random shape. I don't even know. Let's see what the canvas size is. Yeah, 1058. That's so rando. So let's copy this over here. Since I do a lot of low poly stuff, it's not that big of a problem since it's smaller. Go to pattern preview. Yep, okay. And then let's add some noise. Let's add like, oh no. I've been really digging embossed stuff. I don't know why. It just looks so good. So it's not rock texture anymore, but it's something else. And then maybe let's try like just doing some rando stuff. Ooh, that's kind of nice. It's like, oh, what did I do? It's like sandy vibes. I dig this. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna keep it. KT Sandy Rocky Road. CCO. And oh, I forgot. Also, what's really cool is a lot of these, I will literally just keep it a PSD. You're like, Kami, what the heck are you doing? Look at this, okay? We're gonna pull up Blender, our good old friend Blender. We're gonna add a plane. Add a new texture. Open a new texture. We're gonna go to our folder just for now. Open the PSD. Boom. Whoa, you can use PSDs in Blender? I didn't know that. Wow. It gets better. Let's, we're like, oh yeah, I don't like this texture. It's off. It needs a good, solid, cursive writing on it. Save it. And then if you go to Blender and you hit, I think, Option R, it refreshes the texture and updates it. But yes, I know, right? So a lot of my textures, I just keep PSD files. I just keep them as is. And sometimes I think it's good, and then later I find out, I don't know, it could be a little darker or needs a little bit of sharpening or good old emboss. That's what you do. Makes it more efficient. All right, the second way I go about making textures is I use a bunch of different programs. Like in my previous video, I showed that website, Effect Texture Maker. It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna go over it again, but it has a bunch of textures, and you can do a lot of stuff with this one. But there's also others. So the other one I use is Texture Maker Enterprise. I don't have it on Mac. I don't think it exists on Mac, so I use a Windows emulation system. Texture Maker Enterprise, you kind of have to find it online. You have to get a CD or something, you can dig. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna make a 512 by 512. It has a bunch of options. This thing, I do not fully understand what is going on with this program. It is more of just kind of like playing around and finding out what happens. I cannot replicate one thing I do again. It's just something you kind of just have to find out. All right, let's get into it. So let's go to generator. It kind of does everything by math. So if you're good at math, cool. If you're not, just mess around. Let's go with a weave. Sure. And then they have all these presets. Whoa, look at that. Don't even know what it is. Cool. I'm gonna make a new texture. I'm gonna save that one for later. We're gonna go into generator, and I love clouds. Okay. There's too many clouds. So let's look at these sliders. Oh my gosh. That's cool. So we're gonna take this. You can kind of take that plus and then drag it over, and then you have these other options. Emboss. I told you how much I love emboss, so I'm gonna emboss. Look at that. That's cool. That's nice. It's like a weird brick pattern. Now let's mess it up. Let's go to distraction. Sure, let's distract it. That is fungus that is literally in your rice cooker when you've left the rice in there for more than 3 days. We have all been there. Don't lie. Let's go to split. Sure. Let's split it some more. Now we just got something crazy. And it's cool. You can zoom out and see it. It's like tiling it. You know? Let's scramble it up. Like I said, like you literally just go in here and you just mess around. Just play. That's all what art is, you know? Just play. Whoa. That's kind of cool. And then you can just save it. Command S. And what's cool, it gives you a random name for every time you save a texture. So I just add KT. Boom, boom, boom. CCO. Because it's my own, you know? And then we move on. If you save it again, it will overwrite. So what I like to do is, if you hit transpose, it will duplicate it. So we don't need that anymore. I don't know why they named it transpose. To me, it's like a musical term. That's all I can think of. Let's go to gravel. Whoa. That's sick. Let's do like a high emboss. Ooh, gives it some nice stuff. Yeah, so it is destructive. I just save a bunch of copies and then I'll look back at them, and if you press if you're like still selected in the presets, you can press the arrows and you can kind of like cycle through them. Whoa, that's kind of cool. So let's do something with this. So that's going to be like our tile. So we kind of want to make like a texture for that tile, you know? Ooh, I really like that. You know, I've seen this like 1,000 times, but I love it. It gives me wild thornberry vibes. I have no idea if that's like actually a valid take, but that's what it reminds me of. Ooh. What's additive? That's nice. It gives me some vaporwave vibes. Let's do transpose. Now I feel like making stuff through Photoshop is a little more, you know, time consuming. Kind of takes a little more effort. This is just like clicking buttons. Clicking buttons until you think something looks cool and then you save it. Oh, you can see like it's like growing some veins and stuff. That's nice. Randomize. Erosion's pretty cool. Ooh. That's actually really sick. That's super cool. That's it for that. I did say that there was another way to make textures. I did say 3. But it's kind of just the same as kind of the first one, except instead of using an image, I just make it in Photoshop, you know? I get some shapes and then do some embossing, bevel and emboss, you know me. And then I just do that. And I do that with a handful of my textures, you know. Sometimes like basic colors and stuff you don't need a picture to do that. You can just do it on your own. This is a crate that I made for the game. You can kind of, you know, see it, bada bing, bada boom. Nice vibe. I used, I think, a real image, and then I embossed my logo onto it so it looks like it's kind of like in the wood. And then I use these shapes. I use shapes to make the border, and then I combine them. And when you combine the shapes and border them, it will like kind of merge all of those shapes into one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was educational for you. If you are interested in any texture packs, go visit my website, kamiexp.com. I sell them for like some $1, some like I think $5 or $3, and they're all like, you can use them for commercial purposes. There's nothing there that can get you in trouble, blah blah blah, you know. So if you're interested, check it out. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.